one of the descendants of Noah, his name was Abraham. And he lived in the country of Babylon, which is modern-day what? Anyone know? Iraq. Modern-day Iraq. And he lived there. And one day God spoke to him and said, Abraham, leave your country, leave your family, and follow me. Go on a journey for life, like your church camp, a journey for life. Follow me. Now, God also gave him some promises. He said, Abraham, I'm going to make you into a great nation. I'm going to bless you. Anyone that blesses you, I'll bless. Anyone that curses you, I'll curse. And through you, all the nations of the world will be blessed. Well, Abraham was pretty excited at this because he was already 75 years old and his wife Sarah was 65, and they had a big problem. They could not have children. So they knew great nation means that we will have a son, because you have to have descendants to have a great nation. So they set off following God. And today's story is 10 years later. So how old is Abraham 10 years later? 85, and his wife is 75. So the story starts here. And I'm going to tell you the story, and we're going to do it 3 times. And the second time through, you'll help me with it. So listen closely. Sarah came to her husband Abraham and said, God has not allowed me to have children. But look, here is my Egyptian maidservant. Why don't you sleep with her, and maybe through her I can build a family? Well, Abraham agreed. And they had been in the land of Canaan 10 years at that stage. So Sarah gave Abraham Hagar to be his wife. He slept with her and she became pregnant. When she knew she was pregnant, she looked down on Sarah. So Sarah came to Abraham and said, everything I'm suffering, it's all your fault. I gave you this woman into your arms, and now she knows she's pregnant. She looks down on me. May God judge between you and me. Abraham said, oh, she's your servant. Do with her whatever you like. So Sarah abused Hagar, and Hagar ran away into the desert. So she was sitting by a spring of water on the road to Shur, and the angel of the Lord came to her and said, Hagar, where have you come from and where are you going? I've run away from my mistress, she said. The angel said to her, go back and submit to your mistress. And then the angel added, I will give you so many descendants that they will be too many to count. That is the end of the story. So what we're going to do this time is I'm going to lead you through line by line through this story, and you just sort of talk out the answers to me as we go. Okay, so it's not difficult. Don't be afraid. Here we go. Sarah came to her husband, and what did she say first? Silence. Oh, that's a great storyteller I am. She said, the Lord has not permitted me to have children or allowed me to have children. So what was her suggestion? Sleep with my maidservant. So Abraham agreed. And at that time, how long had he been in the land of Canaan? 10 years. So Sarah gave Hagar to Abraham to be his wife. He slept with her, and before long she became pregnant. When she knew she was pregnant, what did she do? Look down on Sarah. So Sarah came to Abraham, and she was very polite, wasn't she? What did she say? Not polite at all. It's all your fault, everything I'm suffering. I gave you this woman to be your wife. Now she knows she's pregnant. She looks down on me. And then she added, what did she say? May God judge between you and me. And Abraham, what did Abraham do? She's your servant, do what you like with her. So, what did Sarah like to do? She abused Hagar, and what did Hagar do? She ran into the desert. And one day she's sitting, where's she sitting? Next to a spring on the road to somewhere. And I don't know where Shur is, but it's on the road to Shur. And an angel of the Lord came to her. And what was the first thing the angel said to her? No, before the questions. Hagar, servant of Sarah. He called her by name, servant of Sarah. Where have you come from? Where are you going? And what did Hagar say? I'm running away from my mistress. And then the angel said something to her and then gave a promise. What did she say? The angel say first? Go back and submit to your mistress. And then what was the promise? You'll have descendants too many to count. So what I want you to do is everyone to find a partner. If you really don't want to do it with a partner or there's not someone sitting next to you, just do it on your own out loud, but just whispering it. I want you to tell the story to each other. So either one person can do it or you can do it backwards and forwards. So find a friend and tell the story to them. When you're finished, just be quiet so I know you've finished. Okay, so that's getting close to finished. Okay. Now, the reason we always did it with our social work group, remember we only had 30 minutes with this group, we still spent 15 minutes learning the story, and you'll work out later why, but one reason is just that we want the story to go deeply into people's hearts so that when we discuss it, we actually know what we're discussing. So we've got 6 questions, and I will do it just like I did with the social workers group. That means that the easy questions you'll discuss together, but the ones that are a bit more personal, I'm going to get you to do in your own thinking. And that's because with a group of social workers, these are their workmates. I didn't want them to feel embarrassed in front of their workmates. And they didn't have to admit how much they were learning or not learning. So we just did the easy ones together. So the first question, very simple. What did you like about this story and why? So just do this with your partner or if you're on your own, just do it in your own head. What did you like about this story and why? Now, you might not like anything, and you can say that too. Oh, and I forgot, there are 3 rules. Everyone answers, every answer different, no more than 2 sentences. So this should be fast because you can't talk too much. 2 sentences. What did you like about that story? Why? Take one each, share with one each. Okay. Now the second question we're going to do together, and we're going to have a roving mic for this one. The second question, and we did this together as the social workers group, what questions might somebody have about this story? So we're just going to ask, I hope to get 20 questions. I'll start. Where is Sher? Where's that place? Okay, someone else. Hand up if you've got a question that you can think of. Anyone, any question about this story? I tell you. Okay, great. Non-believers are a lot faster than you guys. It's true. They ask great questions.
What was the name of the angel?
Okay, what was the name of the angel? That's a fine. It's no problem with any question. There's another one there.
Why does Hagar have to go back?
Okay, why does God send Hagar back into an abusive situation? That's a very good question.
Why did Abraham agree to sleep with Hagar?
Okay, yes. Why did he agree to do it? Didn't he have more wisdom? Oh, good. The guys are beginning to get active. This is good. Yes, you've got to run. Just passed along the row after that.
How come the angel can promise Hagar anything like God promised Abraham?
Okay, so why does the angel promise Hagar the same blessing of Abraham?
How old is Hagar?
How old is Hagar? What did she look like? You can ask any question.
Why was Hagar given the promise of many descendants at the same time that Abraham also has that promise?
Okay, yep. So keep going. We've got lots of questions you can still ask. Okay, there's one over on the... Yep, okay, go with the younger one. Yep. We need 2 microphones.
Why didn't God give Sarah a son in the first place?
Why was God so slow in giving Sarah a son? She's probably waited, she's now 75, she's waited 60 years.
Why did Sarah think of the plan to give Hagar to Abraham?
Okay, why did Sarah come up with this crazy plan? Surely she must have thought of the consequences.
Why did Hagar look down on Sarah even though she was her servant?
Okay, why did Hagar look down on her own mistress? Yes. Okay, another couple of questions.
Why didn't Abraham defend Hagar when she was being abused?
Yes, why didn't Abraham protect Hagar?
Why was Abraham so passive in everything?
Why was Abraham so passive? Yep.
Did the descendants of Hagar cause trouble for the descendants of Abraham?
Okay.
And if so, why did God permit that?
Yes. Okay, did the descendants... Yep.
Why did Sarah blame Abraham about the suffering when it was her idea in the first place?
Yes, why is dear old Sarah blaming? Okay, I've got a couple more questions. Why did God allow Hagar to get pregnant? Why didn't he just allow her to have a miscarriage? That would have solved lots of problems. Or why didn't God just let her die? Okay, I said you can ask any questions. Another one we got in Taiwan was, what's this big deal about children anyway? Now that was a 20-year-old guy. Everyone laughed like that, and all the women looked at him as though he was crazy. The other one you haven't asked is, does this mean that followers of God, it's okay to have a mistress and to have a second wife? Okay? Now, did you notice something? I didn't answer any of those questions. And there are very good reasons why I don't, but one of them is that you'll get far more questions if you don't answer, and people will dare to ask questions that they wouldn't dare to ask otherwise, because if I treat your question, I just, give one sentence answer to your question, or I treat it as though it's a silly question, you'll never ask a question again, and the questions that will be asked will get narrower and narrower every week. But the other reason is I want you to go home and think about some of those questions, because there's some really good questions, why God does what he does. Oh, the other one is, why doesn't God stop Abraham and Sarah from doing this crazy plan? Jump in and say, stop, this is a dumb idea. Okay, this is 2 more questions in your partner. Question 3 is, what do you learn about people from this story? So we have Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. You should learn things about people from the way they behaved and what they say and their choices. What do you learn about people? 2 sentences with your friend. Okay, that should be about 2 sentences each. Question 4. What do we learn about God from this story? So in this story, we haven't got God directly, but we've got his representative, the angel. So what do we learn about God from this story? Now, I'll give you one, and then you can't use this one. One of the things I learn is that God is very strange. He does not necessarily stop people from doing dumb things. Okay? So, what do we learn about God? In your pair, think of something else. Use those brains. Okay, that should be about 2 sentences each. The 5th and the 6th question, these are the last questions. In the social work group, I got them to do it on their own, just think in their own heart. These are the application questions. So there are 2 kinds of application questions. One is, having heard this story, what am I going to do? What am I going to obey? So disciples of Jesus are not supposed to be people with huge ears and huge brains. They're actually and a tiny body. They're actually supposed to be in balance. So we listen to God and we immediately do it. That's what a disciple means. It's a follower becoming like Jesus, doing what he does, getting excited about what he gets excited about. So what are you going to do this week as a result of hearing this story? What does this story have to do with you? It might be a warning what not to do. It might be something that you can do. So just think in your own heart, what is this story got to do with you? What does it have to do with you? Okay, and the last question is, this week, who could I tell this story to? And I want you to think of a real person, not just, well, I hope I might have an opportunity, because if you hope you might have an opportunity, you probably won't. But think of someone. So for me, I'm going on a country trip on Wednesday. Actually, I'm going into the city on the train tomorrow to go to Vivid. I hope on the way on the train that I will have an opportunity to share this story. So this will be my goal. You can ask me later if I did it. But and then I want you to pray for that person that you would have an opportunity. So let's just pray for the person that you want to share with. Now, how are you going to get your opportunity? The easiest way is simply to say, yesterday I heard a story and I need to practice it. Would you be willing to listen to my 2-minute story? That's the easiest way I know. Can't get much easier than that. The other way is just to say, I'm learning to tell stories, can I tell you a story? And probably what's on the train, I'll watch everyone looking at their mobile phone and I'll say, oh, going on a train in Sydney is so boring nowadays. I like to hear stories. Do you? Could I tell you a story? And I'll have a go using that approach. So there are lots more ideas. My website is related to that thing up there. It's called www.storying the scriptures, all one word, is my website. There's tons of ideas how to start a story. There's tons of other stories there. There's testimonies of people using storytelling. It's a resource. And outside there's also a book in English and in Chinese on how to do storytelling if you're interested in learning more. But let me go back to this social worker group. Well, after this story that we did, there was a 60-year-old woman in the group, and she was, I think, the cleaner at the office, and she probably had the least education. And she said after this story very clearly, she said, God always keeps his promises, but his timing is not at all like our timing. And we've got to learn not to try and help him, because when we come up with our own idea, it gets in a terrible mess. I mean, this story, I like this story because it's like a soap opera. It's a disaster. It's like Home and Away, isn't it? Just terrible relationships, and everyone in this story did wrong things. Sarah came up with a dumb idea. She didn't trust God. Then she got angry when the dumb idea didn't work, and she yelled at her husband. Then she abused someone. I mean, really, she's terrible the whole way. And she didn't give Hagar a choice. Hagar got sent to Abraham whether she wanted to or not. So Sarah was really terrible. Abraham was awfully passive and agreed to the whole thing and then didn't want any trouble. And even Hagar, once she went from the bottom, everyone abusing her, and she gets to the top of the pile and she has some power, I can just imagine Hagar walking around like this. As her belly gets bigger and bigger, she just says, oh, I'm very tired today, Sarah. Could you, massage my feet or something like that? So she takes advantage of the situation. So she was not sinless either. So everyone is like that. So this is a great story asking us, will we trust or not trust, isn't it? When God has said something, are we willing to wait even when it looks like he's forgotten us? Because if we don't wait, we will get in a great big mess. And those of you that know this story know what the mess was. 4,000 years of pain and suffering because of that choice. We now have the situation in the Middle East. The descendants of Sarah are the Jewish people. The descendants of Hagar are the Arabic peoples. What pain and suffering from one little choice. So it's a good warning to me, this story. And I would like you to Continue to remember even to pray for the social workers group and for Pastor Eddie, who goes on and he is now using storytelling. So let me pray for you as you go and use your story. Heavenly Father, thank you that your word is powerful, even the bits of it that seem a bit strange. We thank you that you give us freedom and you work despite us rebelling against you and forgetting you and going our own way. Lord, I pray for each person here that they would choose to trust you today and wait for your timing, and that they would also take the opportunity this week before they forget the story to tell it to somebody.